Welcome to our one-on-one webcast. I'm Brian Dudiak.
And I'm Andy Harris. Brian, the MLB playoffs are in full swing finally, and all the first-round matchups are over. And honestly, they were never close. What do you think the reason for the total lack of competition in the first round was?
You know, I don't really know, honestly. I've been wondering the same thing myself, but the one thing that I definitely think is a factor is if these series were 7 games instead of 5, it would have been a totally different story. I think that the thought process is different. If you listen to those Boston Red Sox talking after Game 2, they said, we need to get offense, we need to get offense, we need to get offense. And I think that the pressure's on. Clearly, if you need to win that game, you lose that game, you're done, and you're saying, we need to get offense, we need to get offense, we need to get offense. It's a lot of pressure on you. Whereas if you're looking down 2 games to none in a 7-game series, you still got 2 games that you can lose. You're not going to, but there's a lot less pressure on you to get that offense. You feel a little bit more comfortable, like you have more time. It's kind of, along the same lines of when you're procrastinating, if it's due the next day, you're really crunching and you're just planning it out. Whereas if you got a couple of days, you get it done good. I think that's the same way these offenses were working, especially for Boston, as their offense just wasn't there. But I think it was just a matter of the fact that it was a 5-game series instead of a 7. It looks a lot different. But I'm definitely surprised, and other than that, I don't really know.
Yeah, a lot of those teams are evenly matched, especially, L.A. and Boston. I was surprised that one didn't go 5. That was my prediction. But I think also in a 5-game series, no team has to use their number 4 starter. Or, so in a 7-game series, you're going to have to, even if you win, even in the sweep, both teams' number 4 starters are going to be out there. And I think that's another thing that contributes to it, because number 4, guys that own the rotation, they're all pretty much the same from team to team. Whereas, one team might have a significant advantage with their ace, or their number 2 pitcher. But at the bottom, both teams are even, essentially, with the caliber of their starting pitcher.
Yeah, and that's even a surprise too, though, is because you look at the 1 and 2 starters that the Cardinals have, potentially 1 and 2 in the Cy Young voting, and they couldn't even clamp down and get it done. And so that's why, as much of an expert as we are in terms of Major League Baseball, it really gets down to having to be in those clubhouses and seeing what the mood was like, seeing how people were reacting with each other and acting with each other to really determine what caused these surprises. Because when you're looking at 2 Cy Young Award candidates, 2 strong Cy Young Award candidates in the same rotation, and they can't even win a game, it's just, how do you explain it? You really don't know.
Yeah, you can't.
To segue into our next topic, you see those teams struggle, like the Cardinals, and it kind of just throws out everything you thought out the window. A lot of surprises. So now we're going to take a step back and look and see what have we seen then from these teams that have won that we're worried about or that we feel good about going forward.
Well, for example, my Phillies, they showed a lot of resiliency, in the Rockies game. If you didn't watch, they were down by 3 runs going to the top of the 9th. 2 runs, came back to score another 3 runs. As far as the Angels, I'll go to them next. Their pitchers really stepped up and did very well for them. John Lackey, I saw his comments after the Angels lost to the Red Sox last year. He was furious. He was saying things like, look, we're better than Boston. We are a better team than Boston. Yeah. He was, like I said, furious that they lost that series. And once again, he came back to pitch well for them. We got to move on real quick. The Yankees, do you think they have an easy road to the Fall Classic going through Los Angeles?
Easy, I wouldn't call it easy. I think that easy ended with the first round. Easy ended with the Rockies. Easy ended with the Twins. And at this point, it's clear that it's a little bit tougher. Do I think that was Boston going to be harder than the Angels? Clearly, no. Clearly the Angels pitching stepped up, and I think that was probably their biggest question mark. They have a lot of talented offensive players, and their pitching is talented too, but there's been a lot of guys that have been injured, a lot of young guys going out there, and they clearly showed they can get it done. But what I saw from the Yankees is they're a lot stronger than people realize. CeCe Sabathia and A.J. Burnett may not have a ton of postseason experience. They have a little bit, but they're quality pitchers that are going to get the job done. And then on top of all that, Game 3, you're starting Andy Pettitte, who's been around how many Yankee teams that have won how many
he's
titles.
in the playoffs every year.
He's been there. So even with Houston, he was there.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's been around, and when you can put a guy with that much experience in there, no matter what his season numbers were like, he's going to do well for you. I think that this is going to be an interesting series to see. The Angels certainly aren't going to, as we said, the Yankees aren't going to roll over them. The Angels aren't going to lay down. But it's going to be interesting. But I think the Yankees are the team that I thought they were going to get to the World Series originally before the postseason even started. And I'm even more excited about them seeing what they were able to do. You know, Teixeira proved his worth with that one swing the other night. So it's clear that they've got it going on. And
don't
Mariano
overlook the
Rivera
fact,
too.
Yeah, don't overlook the fact that A-Rod is hitting the ball. It's
Exact-
October,
that's
and he's
true,
hitting
too.
the ball very
Exactly.
well. He had, what, 2 home runs in that series?
Yeah.
And that's
the
a
game
big
tying
plus
in
for
that
them.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's the key to the offense. They have a lot of other guys, but he is their best hitter.
Definitely.
So who do you got in the World Series?
Adjusting, I'm still putting the Yankees in there, but I did not like what I saw from the Phillies. I think that they if you listen to the radio show, I bash the Rockies all the time, and I don't think they should have let the Rockies get as close as they did. I was surprised their pitching wasn't as strong as I thought it would be. You know, and if I had to pick the way the Rockies were going to go down, it wasn't going to be Houston Street that did it. So I'm surprised by that. So I'm going with the Yankees and the Dodgers. And in terms of the easy road, as we were talking about, I think the American League has an easy road in the World Series. Whoever has to play whoever, because
The American League team is always better.
And I think the National League's very undermatched at this point. So I'm
Agreed.
picking Yankees, Dodgers, Yankees over the Dodgers.
I'm going to take Phillies over Dodgers. I like the Phillies pitching matchups. The Dodgers' #1 starter right now, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, it's Randy Wolf. He's likely going to take the ball in Game 1. Randy Wolf,
True.
okay? I mean, do I need to say more? He's not a
Very
bad
true.
pitcher by any means. He's having a heck of a year, I'll give it to him. But he's still Randy Wolf, you know? Beyond that, they have Karuta and Kershaw in Games 2 and 3 in some order. Kershaw is worrisome for Phillies fans because, you know, the Phillies have a ton of lefties. Kershaw's a lefty with lights-out stuff. But I still think Phillies take that series in 6. I see the Yankees, like you said, advancing to the World Series. I see them beating the Phillies. Even if the Dodgers make it, I see the Yankees beating them. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for One-on-One Sports Webcast. But check out our other webcast where Brian and I will talk about the near playoff teams that have the brightest future.
Yep. I'm Brian Dudiak, and he's the redheaded wonder, Andy Harris, asking you, whose side are you on?